On January 5, 2024, Alaska Airlines Flight 1282 climbed out of Portland, Oregon, into the evening sky. The Boeing 737 MAX 9 was almost brand new, delivered just 8 weeks earlier. Then, at around 16,000 feet, with a roar and a violent rush of air, a panel the size of a door tore off the side of the aircraft. A hole opened in the fuselage. Oxygen masks dropped. The wind ripped phones and clothing out into the night. By something close to a miracle, the 2 seats next to the hole were empty, and the plane landed safely. Nobody died. But here is the detail that should chill you. When investigators examined the aircraft, they found that 4 bolts meant to hold that panel to the fuselage, were simply missing. They had never been installed. This was not an old, worn-out plane. It was new, from the most famous aircraft manufacturer on Earth, a name that for most of a century was a global synonym for engineering perfection. So how does a brand new Boeing leave the factory with 4 critical bolts missing? The answer is not really about bolts. It's about what happened to Boeing over 25 years. How a company built and worshipped by engineers was slowly taken over by a philosophy that put the share price above the airplane. This is the story of how the greatest name in aviation broke itself from the inside. And it involves not just that door, but 2 catastrophic crashes, 346 deaths, and a corporate merger where the company that lost the deal ended up winning the war for Boeing's soul. It comes in 3 parts: the engineering kingdom that built the modern sky, the merger that quietly swapped its values, and the crashes and scandals that revealed what Boeing had become. If you enjoy these rise and fall stories, take a second to subscribe and hit like. It genuinely helps this channel dig up more of them. Now let's go back to Seattle, in 1916. Boeing was founded in 1916 in Seattle by William Boeing, a timber businessman fascinated by flight. And from the very beginning, its identity was built on one thing above all: engineering. This was a company run by and for engineers. People obsessed with building aircraft that were better, safer, and more advanced than anything else in the sky. And over the decades, that obsession made Boeing one of the most important companies in the history of the world. Consider what Boeing built. In 1938, it created one of the first pressurized cabin airliners, letting planes fly high above the weather. During the Second World War, Boeing bombers like the B-17 and the B-29 were central to the Allied war effort. Then, in 1958, came the aircraft that changed everything: the Boeing 707. It launched the jet age for ordinary passengers, shrinking the world and making international travel a routine part of modern life. And then, in 1970, Boeing bet the entire company on one machine: the 747, the jumbo jet. It was so enormous, so expensive to develop, that if it had failed, it could have destroyed the company. Boeing's engineers built it anyway. The 747, with its unmistakable hump, became the queen of the skies and reigned for decades as the symbol of long-distance air travel. This was the Boeing the world admired, a company that bet on bold engineering again and again, and won. And crucially, understand the culture that produced those planes. At Boeing, the engineers were kings. The people who rose to the top were people who understood how to build aircraft. Safety and quality weren't marketing slogans. They were the deep identity of the place. Building a plane, as one observer put it, requires a willingness to spend freely on reliability and safety, and a culture that actually encourages people to report mistakes rather than hide them. For most of the 20th century, that was Boeing. The plane came first. The share price came second. Remember that order, because it is about to be reversed. And that reversal is the whole story. By the 1990s, Boeing dominated the world of commercial aviation. But the seeds of the fall were being planted, and they came in the form of a merger that looked, on paper, like a triumph. In 1997, Boeing merged with McDonnell Douglas, another great American aircraft maker. On the surface, this looked simple. Mighty Boeing, riding high, absorbing a struggling rival whose commercial jet business had faded. Boeing paid around $13 billion. The Boeing name survived. The Boeing headquarters at first stayed in Seattle. It looked like Boeing had swallowed McDonnell Douglas whole. But something strange and profound happened. Something people inside the industry now describe as a reverse takeover. Because while Boeing kept the name, it was McDonnell Douglas's leadership philosophy that quietly took control. And those two companies could not have been more different in what they valued. Boeing prided itself on being driven by engineers focused on quality. McDonnell Douglas, by contrast, had a reputation for making decisions primarily to cut costs and satisfy investors. As one analysis put it bluntly, McDonnell Douglas bought Boeing with Boeing's own money. Almost immediately, there was a dramatic clash of cultures. Boeing's dedicated engineers found themselves increasingly answering to finance and marketing executives who spoke a different language, the language of margins, stock price, and shareholder returns. And slowly, deliberately, the balance of power inside the company shifted. The board began to favor promising financial projections over engineering ambition. The whole philosophy of the company started to invert. There's a moment that captures it perfectly. In 2001, Boeing moved its corporate headquarters away from Seattle, away from the factories, away from the engineers actually building the planes, to Chicago. Think about the symbolism. The people running the company physically separated themselves from the people building the aircraft. Leadership and the shop floor were now 1,000 miles apart. The message was clear. This was now a company to be managed as a financial asset, not a workshop to be led by builders. One industry analyst summed up the new Boeing philosophy in a way that is hard to forget. The priorities, he said, became crush the workers, share price, share price, share price. Financial moves and metrics come first. Boeing began doing the things that financially driven companies do to boost their stock. Enormous share buybacks, aggressive cost-cutting, and outsourcing large chunks of production to outside suppliers to save money. Even though building a safe airplane requires tight control over exactly those things. For a while, Wall Street loved it. The stock soared. Executives were rewarded. But underneath the rising share price, the thing that had made Boeing Boeing, its obsession with engineering and safety, was quietly rotting. And an eroding safety culture in an aircraft company is a debt that eventually comes due. For Boeing, the bill arrived in the form of a single airplane, the 737 MAX. To understand the MAX, you have to understand the pressure Boeing was under. Its European rival, Airbus, had launched an updated, far more fuel-efficient version of its popular A320 jet. Airlines were lining up to buy it. Boeing was suddenly at risk of losing enormous orders. It faced a choice: design an all-new modern aircraft from scratch, slow, expensive, the engineering-first answer, or find a faster, cheaper fix. The new Boeing chose fast and cheap. Instead of designing a new plane, it took the 737, a design whose roots went back to the 1960s, and modified it yet again, strapping on bigger, more efficient engines. But those larger engines didn't fit the old airframe cleanly. Mounted differently, they changed how the plane handled, giving it a tendency to pitch its nose up in certain conditions. Rather than redesign the aircraft, Boeing's answer was a piece of software, a system called MCAS, designed to automatically push the nose back down. And here is where cost-cutting turned deadly. To keep the MAX cheap and to avoid requiring expensive new pilot training, a key selling point for airlines, Boeing kept this powerful new system quiet. MCAS relied on a single sensor, with no backup, and astonishingly, it was barely mentioned in the pilot manuals. Many pilots flying the MAX didn't even know the system existed. A powerful piece of software that could push the nose of the plane toward the ground, and the humans in the cockpit weren't told how to fight it. The consequences were horrific. On October 29, 2018, Lion Air Flight 610 took off from Jakarta, Indonesia. A faulty sensor fed bad data to MCAS. The system began forcing the nose down. The pilots, unaware of what was happening, fought it again and again, pulling the nose up as the software pushed it down, over and over, until they lost the battle. The plane plunged into the Java Sea. All 189 people aboard were killed. Then, Less than 5 months later, on March 10, 2019, it happened again. Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 crashed 6 minutes after takeoff from Addis Ababa, in an eerily similar sequence, killing all 157 people on board. 2 brand-new Boeing aircraft, the same model, the same system, driven into the ground. Together, the 2 crashes killed 346 people. Now watch how the new, finance-first Boeing responded, because the response is as damning as the crashes. At first, Boeing's leadership was defensive. There were attempts to point toward pilot error, to suggest that foreign crews simply hadn't handled the aircraft correctly. But the evidence was overwhelming, and the world's regulators acted. The entire global fleet of 737 MAX jets was grounded for around 20 months. And the investigations that followed exposed something much worse than a technical flaw. Internal Boeing messages surfaced. Regulators concluded that Boeing employees had concealed crucial information about MCAS from the FAA, the very agency responsible for certifying the plane as safe. The U.S. government later stated that Boeing's employees had chosen the path of profit over candor, that they had misled regulators about the operation of the 737 MAX. In 2022, Boeing agreed to pay a $200 million penalty to settle charges that it had misled investors and the public about the plane's safety, with officials saying a former CEO had put profits over people. This was no longer just a story about a bad piece of software. It was a story about a company that had hidden the truth to protect its schedule and its stock. The financial damage was staggering. The MAX crisis ultimately cost Boeing more than $20 billion in charges, fines, compensation, and lost orders. But the deeper damage was to trust. The relationship between Boeing and the flying public, and between Boeing and its regulators, was broken. Boeing promised to fix it. It brought in new leadership. It pledged, loudly and repeatedly, to put safety first and rebuild its culture from the ground up. And then the door blew off. That January 2024 Alaska Airlines blowout wasn't just another accident. It was proof, undeniable, public proof, that nothing fundamental had changed. Because the door plug story is, in miniature, the entire Boeing story. Investigators found the panel had left the factory missing the 4 bolts meant to hold it in place. This wasn't exotic software. This was basic manufacturing. A part that anyone can see was not properly secured. It pointed to a breakdown in the most fundamental quality control, in a plant under relentless pressure to push aircraft out the door as fast as possible. And it exposed another consequence of the finance-first era: outsourcing. That fuselage section had come from a supplier, Spirit Aerosystems, a company Boeing had actually spun off years earlier to cut costs, and which it was later forced to move to buy back. The drive to make production cheaper and leaner had scattered the building of Boeing's planes across a web of outside suppliers, making the kind of tight, obsessive quality control the old Boeing was famous for far harder to maintain. The fallout was brutal, and it keeps coming. The MAX 9 fleet was grounded again. Boeing's share price tumbled. Major airline customers, the people who actually buy the planes, publicly lost patience and forced leadership changes. Whistleblowers came forward, describing a culture where raising safety concerns was unwelcome. One former Boeing manager, asked about the company's planes, said flatly, "You're still building unsafe airplanes." And the legal reckoning deepened. Boeing became entangled in criminal proceedings over the original crashes, with judges and prosecutors wrangling over plea deals well into 2025. So let's count what happened to the greatest name in aviation. A company that once bet everything on brilliant engineering, reduced to a cautionary tale about putting shareholders first. 346 people dead in 2 crashes, traceable to a cost-cutting shortcut. Over $20 billion gone. A door blown off a brand new jet because bolts were missing. Its reputation, built over nearly a century, shredded in a few short years. Its own workers and customers openly declaring they no longer trusted it. Here is the tragedy at the heart of it, and it's the same lesson this channel keeps uncovering. Boeing didn't fail because it couldn't build great planes. It spent decades proving it could build the best planes in the world. It failed because it stopped believing that was the point. When the engineers ran Boeing, the plane came first and the profits followed. When the financiers took over, the share price came first, and the planes, and eventually the people inside them, came second. Boeing had one job that mattered above all others: build aircraft so good that people would trust their lives to them. And it traded that away, bolt by bolt, buyback by buyback, for a higher stock price. So let's go back to Seattle in 1916, to a company founded by people who believed that the machine, the safe, brilliant, beautifully engineered machine, was everything. For most of a century, that belief carried Boeing to the very top of the industrial world and kept hundreds of millions of passengers safe. Its successors inherited that reputation, the most valuable thing the company owned, and they spent it down to chase a number on a stock ticker. That's the fall of Boeing, an engineering empire that forgot, fatally, what it was for. Because here's the truth this channel keeps digging up. When a company stops believing that its product is the point and starts believing that the share price is the point, the decline has already begun. Sometimes you just can't see it yet, until a door blows off at 16,000 feet. If you made it this far, subscribe and hit that like button. There are plenty more empires built and buried, and we dig up a new one every time. Thank you for watching.